Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing another Walking Dead video for today, leading up to the 7th episode for The Walking Dead Season 9. In this one, we're going to give our thoughts on Rick and Michonne's baby, RJ. Alright, man, so definitely wanted to go ahead and give my thoughts on this one because I think it's a pretty big reveal and probably should be the biggest thing in episode 6. So in episode 6, we basically have Magna who goes to kind of peep in on Michonne. What is she going to do with her? Will she try to attempt to fight her or attack her or something of the sort? But she quickly changes her mind when she sees that not only is Michonne caring for Judith, but she also has a baby boy, or a boy who's 5 years old, a child basically, as he runs up and kind of hugs her and everything. So this one is a pretty cool reveal, and then afterwards, of course, Magna changed her mind, right? So we saw that in episode 6, and they didn't focus on it all that much. It was kind of revealed and shown. The rest of the episode, you have Michonne doing some different things. You have her finding the sheriff figure, the figure that looks a lot like Rick, and kind of his old school kind of sheriff outfit from the very first season in that. You know, a nice flashback little trinket figure type of Easter egg kind of idea. And kind of cool, they kind of keep it as like a souvenir or something to kind of remind them of Rick. So in addition now, it sounds like, because we debated this one before, and we gave our thoughts on this one in a video, on whether or not Michonne had gotten pregnant, because we know that before Rick went off and all that kind of stuff happened afterwards, that there was a scene with Michonne and Rick where they said that, or Rick kind of wanted to, and they kind of went past it after that. Well, this was kind of similar in this way, where they kind of showed it, but they didn't focus on it all that much, and Judith got most of the spotlight, and you didn't see Michonne with him all that much. But apparently, it looks like Angela Kang, showrunner for The Walking Dead, has confirmed that the boy is, in fact, Rick and Michonne's son, and his name is also Rick. So, so there it is. So she's so Junior basically, or Michonne calling him RJ. So I guess his name should be RJ, which is really cool. You know, that's something that you'd think they would focus more on in the episodes. So that's one of the best things about Talking Dead and that kind of stuff, and AMC's internet YouTube channel and everything, is that they can kind of let us know this kind of stuff when it looks to be implied in an episode, but maybe due to everything they're doing in the episode, it doesn't get focused on as much as it probably should. I memean, personally for me, I think that's kind of a big deal. You know, that's kind of a huge deal. I mean, they never had that in the comics. They still don't have that in the comics. So, there was never a point in the comics where Rick and Michonne actually were together like that, or Andrea, to where they had, a son or anything like that. It was always Carl. So, and Carl and Rick are actually still alive in the comics to this very day, and even in the last issue that was a couple days ago there on Wednesday last week. So this is a really cool one, and I feel like this one is going to come in handy that they decided to do this, because I think that for them to have a son and for Rick to have another son and not know about it is something where it's like, okay, now they have to be reunited in the movies at some point. Like, if Rick's going to do 3 movies, he has to know that he has another son, or he's had another son. Because that's just, you can't let that go. So in this one, just giving my thoughts on whether or not Rick and Michonne will ever be reunited again, I would say absolutely, they have to be now. They got to do it at some point, even if it's some kind of dream, hallucination, afterlife, I don't know, whatever they have to do, somehow in the movies, they have to have that connect. They have to have him find that out. And, it just would make no sense for him not to figure that out at some point. But that's kind of cool, man. And, I'm happy to see it for if they want. It depends how the series will go. We'll see how many more years they do the Walking Dead TV series for. But if they do extend it on past another, 3 or 4 or 5 years, and they do, like, let's say, another large time jump like they already have, they could do the type of situation where he could start to be, an important character in the series as well. And considering how much ground they covered in literally just one half of a season here, from the end of season 8 until now. It's literally 7.5 years later in terms of chronological time. I'm sure that if they want The Walking Dead to continue past season 14 or 15, having him in there as a character is going to be really, really important down the road, I think, because you got Judith as well, so she's going to be growing up. But and there's also Henry as well too, who will probably get all the parts that Carl had in the comics in the TV series version. But having another one there as well too, it sort of sets up a future Judith type of situation. Whereas, in season, if they go to 13, 14, or 15, this kind of range, if it gets there, eventually that will come into play, I'm sure. Or if they connect it to the movies with Michonne, that will also connect, and that will also be important for the movies and for Rick to kind of discover that as something that's very cool. So it also, it's important for other reasons too. I think, Judith is Shane's, as we all know, but she's adopted, so she's still Grimes too. So that's cool and everything like that. But it's also cool because, of course, Carl was killed off so prematurely in the story in the TV series version compared to the comics. To have another kind of one there, you have Judith and you have RJ, and you kind of can use that with Michonne and with the others. It's I think it's a really great idea. I think it's really smart that they decide to do that, and I think it's great, man. My only complaint about it is that they kind of revealed in the episode and then they kind of dropped it, and they didn't really focus on it as much as they probably should have, because that's a really important piece of the puzzle here with regards to the time skip and with regards to Rick leaving and everything that's happened. That is something that's super important, and they kind of showed it as a reveal in sort of a moderately convincing way, but maybe not a totally convincing way, and then had to kind of confirm it afterwards because the episode didn't make it more obvious or didn't make it more pronounced for the viewer to kind of figure that out. So that's my only, kind of complaint about the situation. Aside from that, I love the idea. I think it's great, and it will probably come in handy down the road for sure, I'm thinking. Especially if the series runs past another 3 or 4 years. So then we have Yudith DM, who said, Richonne baby reaction, flashback, that's an odd scene. Then my mind reacted, OMG, OMG, that's OMG, Rick, hyperventilating, that's Rick's son. Yes. And then Matt said, Angela can confirm the boy is Rick and Michonne's son. His name is also Rick, Junior, Michonne, so he's a junior to Rick. I guess he's Rick Grimes Jr., and Michonne calls him RJ, which is cool. So let me know what you guys think about that one first in the comments below. Are you happy they decided to do that? Are you like me where you think, well, okay, that's great, but they should have definitely focused on that more, because that's a big, that's a big reveal. And the episode it did reveal, but then it kind of just went right on. It's like, oh, no, don't go so fast. Like, that's important stuff. Don't skip that over. You know what I mean? If there was another Carl, or if there is, I want to know it. You know what I mean? Two Fierce Clan says, Trev Q&A, where has Tara been this season? And she wasn't in this episode at all, right? Maybe she's leading the hilltop. I don't know. I can't picture that. But where was she in this episode? I don't know. I didn't see her in any of the scenes. Did you guys catch a peek of Tara anywhere there? Maybe she is at the hilltop, because I don't think she was in any of the others unless I missed it. So imagine Tara's like leading the hilltop and stuff. She's like sitting back chewing bubblegum with like sunglasses on. I don't know. So no, it's probably Maggie. Maybe Maggie hasn't gone yet. Viral Edge says, if you watch Talking Dead, you see a poster, and Daryl and Judith are at the absolute front of the poster and the show. So that clears up that Daryl is the lead and not Michonne. So we got to get into semantics here. This is basically a semantics conversation. All right, so who's the top draw of the Walking Dead television series now? Daryl. Daryl's the top draw. Judith will probably be a draw. Michonne, yeah, she's a draw, but she's probably not at the same level as Daryl. Daryl's probably your forefront top draw for the Walking Dead series. Most pronounced character, everything like that. Or most important character, maybe, Daryl. Again, it's like Wolverine. He never, unless you count Wolverine and the X-Men, normally Wolverine would not be leading the X-Men. That'd be Cyclops. But Wolverine, everyone was watching or reading to get to Wolverine's parts. Everybody hated Cyclops. You know what I mean? It's one of those type of situations. Not that people hate Michonne, but Daryl's a huge draw, but he's not the leader for the communities. So far, if we have to pick a leader, I think, even though there is a council, which I'm like, it's okay. I'm okay with a council idea. But I'm kind of a fan of the old, in terms of the storytelling approach of it. I kind of like to know like who's the overall, leader, and they did it in season 4 too. And then the governor was like, "Oh, bullshit, there's a council now. Herschel on the council, right? It's like make a decision, Rick. You're in charge here, right? Let's be honest." So there's a council and that whole thing. It's like yeah, whatever. But in terms of who the leader is so far from this first episode, it's definitely Michonne right now. Now, will that change going forward? Will Daryl be the leader of their military if they put together a military? There's a lot of questions here that remain to be answered. Will we ever see Daryl actually lead the overall communities as part of the council or, as a lead voice? I don't know. Maybe eventually we could see that. I'm not opposed to it, but I think Norman Reedus is opposed to it. So we'll see. But either way, it'd be cool to see him at least lead the military or be like a field leader, which would be a cool kind of deal. But you saying that it clears it up, that the poster doesn't clear up, who's on the call sheet and who's no. Anyway, nothing against you, Viral Edge, but what I'm saying, man, what I'm saying is just what I'm saying, and that's what we're saying, right? You're trying to draw semantics here that I think don't. The way you're using it's like it's insufficient. It's not enough, right? There's more to it than just saying, well, who's the leader of the show now? It's like there's more to it than that. If you want to say that Daryl is the lead character instead of the leader, like the lead draw is what you're talking about, then semantics again, that's fine. You can look at it that way as Daryl as the number one lead for the series. That's fine. You can look at it that way. Destroy A98 says, really thought this episode would have shown more whispers, and that's true, but we're just getting there now, and we still have 2 episodes left, so I hope by the time we have the mid-season finale, we get to see, in these next 2 episodes, we get to see some really good whispers stuff. They don't necessarily have to kill somebody, but Eugene doesn't have to die necessarily, but I want to see some cool whisper stuff because they bring in a cool element, they bring in a cool direction that we haven't seen before. So I'm excited to see that. Grizzly Scalp 950 says issues I have with the episode: sign language people with awkward silence, and then some others. So I actually didn't have a problem with the sign language people. I actually, as I was watching it through, I kind of thought to myself like, wow, that would actually be pretty useful in the zombie apocalypse because you could communicate with no sound. So if there's walkers around, you could sign to each other and you could kind of figure out plans or discuss things. If you're held in captivity, you can communicate without, like in this situation here, some of them are talking and arguing, this kind of stuff. The ones that are signing are not making any sound. So if there's someone who's watching them within the Alexandria, they could communicate, come up with a strategy, and do something if they have to without even making any sound and without the person outside hearing them at all. So I do see some advantages to being able to use sign language to communicate, especially if there's walkers around and stuff like that without without having to actually speak, without having to actually, talk to each other. Whisper strategy style, right? Maybe even better than whispering. You could sign each other or use hand signals or something. Studio Wolf 1 says, Trev, do you think Michonne ended up pregnant? So this question right here, right? I was wondering about it. Will we see a 5-year-old little Richonne next to Judith after this afternoon of baby making? So in this one, so we did see it. So we kind of called it, or at least we sort of brought it up as a prediction. I didn't think they were doing it because they had such focus on Judith and everything in the previews. And that's another thing they did good is that they didn't show him in the preview at all. So it was a nice reveal in the episode. I just think it should have been highlighted more as part of the episode run through than some of the other stuff that they kind of focused on a little bit more. Because I thought it was really important and something that people would definitely want to see. But then again, it's a horror show. It's a zombie show. So you always have to feature whisper zombies as well too. And I'm definitely not complaining about them bringing in whispers and spending time with whispers and getting to see them kind of with their introduction. James Freyer says maybe Negan can lead the community now, right? So Negan's still locked up, but he seems to be in good spirits. So that's kind of cool. One of the things about the whole situation that's strange is that after Rick left, because they time skipped it right after, we didn't get to see how anybody, reacted to him leave. Like, we don't know how Negan feels about Rick having died like that, or so far as they know. So Yeah, man, but it's fun to see him communicate with Judith, and it's good to see him, even though he's still locked up. It's good to see him in high spirits again. I think that's really cool. And Deckard0125 says, will we see Maggie? And I'm thinking maybe we will. Maybe we'll see Maggie once more. Maybe she is still there and she didn't leave yet. Because if she had left after episode 5, they certainly didn't really have any scenes regarding that. So I would think that she'll probably still be there based on what they've shown us so far. Maybe this will be her last episode in episode 7 or something like that coming up soon. And the last one will be from Giuseppe DeRosa, who says, this show has a huge void without Rick for me. At least I'll miss Rick. I'll still watch, though. And I get what you're saying, Giuseppe. This episode did feel a lot different from what we're used to. No Rick in it at all. And certainly I think we're all watching it saying, like, you know, okay, there is a void here, right? This is a void. There's no reason to bullshit ourselves. There's no reason to be disingenuous to ourselves. The show's different. It's missing something. We know what it is. It's just, what can you do? What can you do? There's nothing they could do, you know? It's just the way that real-life situations come up. TV series has been amazing, but people get old. People want to move on and do different things. People want to, you know, spend more time with their family, and they can't be committed every year to, you know, to doing that type of deal. So it is what it is. There's nothing anybody can do about it, and we got to just enjoy it as much as we can going forward. Wait for the movies eventually when those come out, and look forward to that. And at least we're going to get to see Rick in some capacity, and they didn't just kill him off, for example, in episode 5. So that'll be it for this video, guys. Let me know what you guys think. Elite topic, you know, Richonne baby, and then whether or not we'll see Maggie, and how you felt about this episode. Did you feel like it was missing something as well, or did you feel like it was fully, you know, satisfying and everything, and without having, you know, Rick there or Carl there, you know, to kind of make it feel genuine to Walking Dead. It still felt like Walking Dead, but it didn't feel like that familiar. Like it felt like, okay, this is Walking Dead, but it's loosely familiar. It's not as familiar as usual without having those certain characters there. And plus all the others that have been killed off over the years, right, too. Let me know what you guys think. Leave your comments, share, favorite. Thanks again for subscribing, for all you guys who do subscribe. That's it for this one, and I'll see you guys again soon for another video. Trev, peace. Later, guys. See ya.